Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. It is a late night podcast. It is an after the Rams beat the Vikings podcast. All that kind of stuff. What's going on, party people? Clint Nation, how you doing on this Monday? We got some Roki Sasaki to talk about because the man has eliminated 6 destinations and one of them was not the Dodgers. So we'll be sharing the latest updates, thoughts on where he could end up, making the case for all 3 teams left in the mix, and more than that, what happens if the Dodgers do sign him? What happens if they don't sign him? All of that and more on another edition of All Dodgers Live. Sign off or sound off in the comments. What do you guys think about all this Roki Sasaki news? That man is Kevin Skinner. Give him a follow at Skinner7Kevin on the X Twitter machine, whatever you want to call it. I'm Real FRG on those things. We are both longtime baseball writers. I've been a sports editor in the past. We do this thing on the internet. We talk about the Dodgers. We kind of know some stuff. I think we know ball. Would you agree?
Not according to the comments. I know nothing. So I am.
You only know about not cleaning your kitchen, is what I hear.
True. It's pretty clean.
It looks good. Listen, it's a lived-in kitchen. You guys don't get it.
It looks good. Hey man, at least we use the kitchen.
If it came down to it though, like if Roki saw your kitchen as like, listen, that guy talks about my team and he doesn't clean his kitchen, would you have to change it? Would you change locations for Roki Sasaki? No. Wow. That is cold-blooded shit. All right.
Not.
Enough BSing, guys. Again, sound off in the comments. Please like and subscribe and share the show. We're about to hit 8,900 subscribers if we haven't done it yet. Trying to get to 9,000 before the start of spring training. But I say let's dive into the meat of the matter here because, yeah, Roki Sasaki, Roki Watch 2025 has heated up. He and his agent said bye, Felicia, to 6 teams: the New York Yankees, the New York Mets, Texas Rangers out, San Francisco Giants out, and we say to them, boo. Arizona Diamondbacks out, we say boo, and maybe a little drum in there, and rim shot, I should say, and the Chicago Cubs out. It is down to 3. You want to tell the people what 3 teams are left in the mix?
It's the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Blue Jays. He may be on a plane. He might be on a plane there right now, for all we know.
Listen,
or for all I know.
If there's one person I trust to let me know whether or not there is a Japanese baseball player on a plane, it is Kevin Skinner. He has the inside scoop on all of that kind of stuff. Bob Nightingale ruffling some feathers as well, saying a whole lot of nothing with the Padres remaining cautiously optimistic. No shit, boob, I will say. There was also a video creating some panic amongst Dodgers fans where Roki is throwing a baseball at Petco Park, and he's also done that with the Blue Jays. Of course, he can't with the Dodgers because there's a whole bunch of construction going on there. It'd probably be a little unsafe for him, and there's, of course, fires raging through the Southland here. Air quality bad. But that's what it's down to. As we kind of expected, Dodgers, Padres right there at the top of the list. Blue Jays, shocking 3rd place here. I don't think anybody had the Blue Jays in the mix. Like, I would have thought maybe the Yankees, the Cubs staying in there, the Mets, but not the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, even going back to last year, I don't know what the draw is to Toronto. I don't know why Ohtani. I mean, for at least with Ohtani, the Blue Jays were gonna make a substantial offer. So like they were in the mix of teams that were willing to go to that $700 million mark. I have no idea what it is in this instance because money isn't really playing a factor. So yeah. It's beyond me. Maybe he just really likes the color blue.
Yeah, it's big time blue guy. He saw blue in the name, thought it was the Dodgers. Maybe there's a translation issue. I don't know. A lot of friends in the chat here. Jenny Vega, Craig Osterberg, the Bob Nightingale in the chat confirming Padres feel real optimistic in the chat. So let's go. Shout out for the Padres. Of course, Diane Schroeder's in the chat. Kevin Skinner's in the chat. Our friends over at Locked On Dodgers, Jeff and Vince they're in the chat, and they will be live after we are done tonight. So tube in for more conversation about this, but we're going to dive into it completely right now. But first, I got to tell you guys about Bet Online, because it continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. It's liiive trusted. I'm sorry, that's just a joke in poor taste, but whether you are a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from football. It's a great time to bet on some football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC. Bet Online is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From touchdowns, three-pointers, hat tricks, Bet Online has you covered. Every game, every play, every win. Bet Online, the game starts here and the show resumes now. So usually when we're talking free agents, big names, all that kind of stuff, it's kind of about it's usually about the money, you know, and we understand the limitations that all these teams have right now. Like Roki and his agent Joe Wolf have made it known that it's not about the money when it comes to Roki Sasaki, as we do get a $1.99 super chat from our friend Angel Enriquez. Thank you very much. Angel says, Papa, I'm scared. You should be a little scared because the Padres, listen, we'll talk about it in a second. I don't feel very worried about the Toronto Blue Jays. Nobody should ever feel worried about the Toronto Blue Jays. Kevin and I were talking just before going live here. I think we have a lot of good stuff that will make you feel better about the Blue Jays not really being in the mix. But the Padres, you know, we've been talking about this for literally months now. Padres are a very good, very intriguing destination. He has some sort of connection to Yu Darvish and all of that. But if you're talking about money, you know, usually you land free agents with big money, especially if their names are Zach Greinke. But this is not the case. It's all about the international, free agency limitations, what you can sign in that international bonus pool money, of which the Dodgers are they have the least amount of money to offer, right? What are the numbers again?
The Dodgers, I believe, the Dodgers and the Giants, funny enough, were the lowest. This is so clarification. These were the figures given at the start of last year. So These were the brackets each team were slotted into based off luxury tax considerations and qualifying offers stuff. So the Dodgers and the Giants are at the lowest tier, I believe, at like 5.12 million. And then the Padres and the Blue Jays are two tiers above that at 6.25, I believe. So there's about a little over $1 million in difference between the Padres, Blue Jays, and the Dodgers. No Ortega, $199. It's not about the money; it's about the kitchen. True. And Timothy Yellers, if Roki becomes a Padre, I'm gonna crash out. You know, if Roki becomes a Dodger, I think all of San Diego is gonna crash out. So
yeah, I mean, let's be fair. The baseball world is going to have a hard time, and I've seen some headlines out there talking about. I think maybe John Boy talked about it. Somebody had a piece about how the Dodgers would ruin baseball, and everybody has their own opinions. I personally do think, like, if I was not a fan of the Dodgers and I saw the Dodgers signing all the players like idiots like to say, this one would feel closest to something like that. The Dodgers signing all the players if they also land Sasaki, and I might have my baseball fandom kind of at an arm's distance. I would still watch. I would still watch my team because I love ball, but then I'd be like, the Dodgers are gonna win it, man. Like look at all of that talent. Look at what they have to work with already before adding Roki Sasaki. So there's an argument to be made. Do I buy all the way into it? No, because like we've seen it. The Dodgers have had the best teams in the past, and it's not always the teams with the most talent that go out there, go into the postseason and win it all. So it doesn't really matter whether or not the Dodgers land it. But headlines wise, that Cubs / Red Sox fan Bree on Instagram, I'm sure she's gonna lose her shit and try to get more internet clout going, like, the Dodgers signed another player. Why can't my team? And we're gonna laugh and we're gonna have a good time. $10 super chat from our friend Christopher Navarro says, love the show. Discord and Kevin's Kitchen. Sorry about the asshat that was bashing Kevin. Richie Flores call-ins are hilarious. Peace to all. Thank you very much. And guys, so much for the super chats, by the way. Mr. John Rod, $4.99. Mr. Richie Flores, $4.99. Mr. John Rod says, I saw in another chat the Dodgers got back international pool money in the Lux trade. Do you know if that's true? We'll talk about it. I don't think that's true. I don't think that was a thing. And then Richie Flores says, nobody knows where he will land. If I hear one a-hole tell me what he wants, I'm going to lose my shit. Yeah, right now we don't know. We just know what each team has to offer financially. At least we have an idea in terms of their international bonus pool money. And we also know what they have to offer as an organization. And that gets us to what the Dodgers have to offer, what we all know best: top shelf training, player development, World Series expectations and aspirations, Shohei fucking Ohtani as a teammate. Look, like when Roki signs, it's not going to be about the money. It's about all of those pieces that organization could bring. And it's hard to argue that any of the three remaining teams have a better shot than the Dodgers. That's where I'm at right now. You want to dive into both what the Blue Jays and the Padres have to offer as organizations here?
Yeah, before I get to that $199 from Sean Allen, Padres are going to be sold to move to Oakland.
Ooh.
Don't do that to Oakland.
Ow.
Don't do that to Oakland.
Appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat. Appreciate the support as always so far. If you can't support the show through super chats, do hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, that really helps the channel out. Hit the like button, helps us out in the algorithm. Commenting in the live stream, commenting on the video after the fact, sharing it with your friends, your grandma, sharing it with the Roki Sasaki, so he can know that we love him and that Kevin will not change his recording location. It's kitchens or die. Anyways, but yeah, I'm gonna get the Dodgers out of the way with this, and let's have a discussion, because I think there is a good discussion here. I think with the Dodgers, if Roki Sasaki lands with the Dodgers, what does each team offer in terms of him being like the man? Dodgers probably offer the least, because in my opinion, he can pretty easily get lost in the mix. Now, we were talking about this just before going live. I kind of like your counterpoint to it. Go ahead and let's let Kevin cook here.
Yeah, the counter to that, for me, at least in my opinion, is in about 2 years ish. He could be the face of the rotation, or at least one of the faces. He wouldn't, or I guess what I'm saying is he wouldn't be as lost in the mix. 2 years from now, you're gonna have an aging Tyler Glasnow, a much older Blake Snell. Clayton Kershaw is likely not going to be on the team anymore. And the two guaranteed guys that will be here are Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki. And if Sasaki lives up to his ceiling and his talent level, it's very easy to see him to be a co-ace with Yamamoto after what we saw from Yamamoto's first season with the Dodgers. That is definitely appealing to me if he's willing to wait it out to be that guy. I forgot about Shohei Ohtani, who also pitches. Because, yeah, guys, guess what? He won the MVP, and he's going to pitch next year.
Yeah, he's
I
pretty
don't
good.
think anybody said that yet. Who knows how much longer he's going to pitch or what he's going to look like when he pitches. If he's going to be a starting pitcher in 2 years, we're not sure. There's an option he could go to the bullpen. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But my point is, 2 years from now, the rotation is going to look a little different. And definitely the guys with the most talent and the most upside at that point will be Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki. So, yeah. For all those people who are worried about him getting lost, just got to wait a little bit longer, which I don't know if he would really care, because he's already coming out early and foregoing a bunch of money.
Yeah, so, that's one of the big factors I was going to say as well. It's like if he wanted the money, he would have waited 2 more years, 3 more years. I think it's 2 more full seasons. Then he arguably could have gotten Yamamoto money. But he's like, I want to go to MLB. I want to be recognized as one of the best players, remembered as one of the best players in the game, in the history of baseball, all that kind of stuff. Maybe we're kind of adding here, and let's say conflagrate. I can't think of the word. I can't pronounce the word right now. But anyways, we're overhyping what he has said. But I fully agree with you there that the Dodgers that we see in 25 aren't going to be the same. We don't know how long Shohei's going to be pitching for this team before he just becomes a full-time DH, or if they even play with the idea of potentially moving him to the outfield or something like that. Again, this is wildly speculating beyond 2025. We also can pretty much assume a lot of the auxiliary players, I'll call them, will be out of the picture. Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, Emmett Sheehan. We'll find out more about him this year. River Ryan will be eventually returning from Tommy John, but we don't know exactly what his career looks like as a starter. So there's some question marks there. You mentioned Glasnow aging, Blake Snell aging, so you do have some pieces that he could kind of leapfrog in terms of acehood and being that number one in the rotation. So immediately, maybe it is good for him to kind of join the Dodgers and stay back in the limelight. And I could see that angle adding to the appeal of the Dodgers, or for the Dodgers.
Yeah, absolutely. Really fast. Thank you guys so much for making it rain in the chat with the super chats. Timmy, $5. Is there a chance Brent Honeywell Jr. comes back on a minor league deal? I'd rather have him over Joe Smelly. # free turtlenecks. Yes, there's absolutely a chance Brent Honeywell comes back. I wouldn't be shocked if he does at some point. Noah Ortega 199. Haters are going to ask how a 6-man rotation is legal. Yeah, true. $5
6-man rotation with five true aces. Sorry,
I know that's the funny part. Free my boy Rushing. If Roki doesn't sign with us, let's hope he's a Blue Jay. That's true. If given the other non-Dodger options, and 199 for Richie Flores, he's a lock for the Cubs. He loves to play core. Cubs are out of the running.
They are out of the running, which is good because the Cubs suck, and we don't want Kevin to be able to see him Sasaki in his backyard there. Somebody also mentioned, I see in the chat, giving some love to my chat. I didn't mention it. Our conversation with Dave Roberts today. We had the two-time World Series champion manager, myself, Alana Rizzo, welcomed him to Dodgers territory. Had a really, really good conversation with Doc in the short amount of time we had with him. And he also extended an olive branch of, hey, come the fuck out to spring training and let's really talk about what goes on in making decisions, during a postseason game and all that. So I reached out to him after the fact and I said, we are 1,000% down, my dude. Don't throw that out there because we will be there. So setting up some logistics, hoping that Alana and I will be storming spring training, storming Camelback Ranch sometime in about a month from now. So stay tuned for something like that. But do you have anything else to add on the Dodgers side of this before we look at Toronto and then San Diego's sort of ability or what they bring to the table aside from money, which again isn't important for Roki, what they bring to the table when trying to land this dude?
Yeah, I think the one thing the Dodgers, and I think this is their biggest advantage, is they're built for a 6-man rotation like right now.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And a good 6-man rotation. We're not like any team can string 6 pitchers together. What does that 5th and 6th pitcher look like? We don't know. The Padres kind of have a 6-man rotation, but it gets really thin at that 6th man. Like if they sustain one more injury, it all kind of falls apart at the seams. The Dodgers have already a 6-man rotation with depth to back it up. So if he's I think the guys on Foul Territory had someone on today talking about it, and Kratzy brought up a good point.
Ben Badler.
Ben, thank you. Kratzy brought up a good point that teams are dubious of the amount that Sasaki has thrown. He's been around like 110, 120 innings.
Yeah.
So like he needs a 6-man rotation because we don't know what that durability is. Because even in a 6-man rotation, you're kind of in that 150 to 170, maybe even 180 range. So he could really, really benefit from a team that's already considered it and has kind of built their team to handle it and knows how to kind of maneuver and navigate the complexities of a 6-man rotation.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions Alana had asked Dave as well, the thoughts about, setting up for that 6-man rotation and how it may work for somebody like, a Sasaki, eventually getting Ohtani in there. So do check out that interview we had with Dave. Diane with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Diane. Says great job with the Dave Roberts interview today, Clint. Again, had a lot of fun with Doc. He is a great dude to talk ball with. You mentioned the Cubs, you mentioned the Padres. I want to dive into that. I also want to dive into something important here. One, let's hit the gong, the bell, all the noises. Christopher Navarro with another $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Chris saying, are you guys going to do a fundraiser for our family that lost everything in the fires? Thank you. 1,000% first responders. Few things to talk about on this. So we're working on something behind the scenes. I want to make sure I don't want to jump into something before I'm fully ready. Like, full transparency, I've been very mentally absent on some of this. Whenever I'm going live here with you guys, I want to make sure I'm able to bring the thunder in some way. I don't want to just kind of fake it till I make it, because I don't think that's fair to people. So I'm not just going to go live for the sake of going live, but I also want to be able to, with something as important as supporting people who need help in my community, in our community here in the Southern California area, I want to make sure it's really thought out, well planned out, well executed. Because there are a lot of strings that go to it, especially with support here on YouTube and all of that. YouTube does take 30% of all super chats, of ad revenue and all of that. So I'd hate to have people supporting here through YouTube via super chats and 30% of that support be taken from the actual YouTube brand. So we are working on something behind the scenes. I'll shout out specifically Richie Flores and Diane Schroeder, who have helped me champion this. It was technically initially Richie's idea. A second part to this is I shouted them out today as well on Dodgers territory, but a fucking massive round of applause for the guys at Dodger Blue. Our friend Scott Gearman, Blake Williams, they had a fundraiser on their channel last week, their stream last Thursday, and they raised, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000 from fans, from you guys, from this great Dodgers community, helping with the plan, with the intent of giving all of that proceed to people who need it, who need to rebuild and all of that. So one thing, because I complain a lot about other channels taking my ideas, I would hate to do something that is derivative. However, I can be inspired by Dodger Blue and our friends over there, and that's what we're going to do. So stay tuned. We will do some sort of giveaway fundraiser for people in need that will be coming up. But for now, the less important thing is Roki Sasaki. We should probably get back into that for people that are maybe more heartless than others. And you mentioned the Padres, and if we're here talking about teams where he can be the man, the Padres are, I would say, perhaps the best setup for him to be the man sooner rather than later. If he goes to the Blue Jays, he's going to be the man, but he's also not going to know what he's doing. Kevin Gausman's a good pitcher, but maybe he's not the best, I don't know if it's leader or person to learn from at this point in his career, because there's problems. We're going to get to the Blue Jays. But in my opinion, with San Diego, Sasaki can eventually be the dude in San Diego, because I'll spit a little bit here and then we'll let Kevin cook. There's not a whole lot more quality Yu Darvish left. He's 38 now, getting very much older. Dylan Cease is a free agent after this season. Michael King as well, I think, is a free agent after the season. Musgrove can be a fine, number 3 behind Sasaki at some point, but it also doesn't look like they're going to have money to add to that roster, to add starting pitching. We know, somebody said in the comments as well, the Padres are terrible at developing pitching. They have not developed their own pitching in quite some time, strong front end pitching. That roster is not going to get any better over the next couple of years with all of the issues going on down there with ownership and the Seidler legacy and all of this. The Padres can offer Roki an opportunity to be the de facto, the unquestioned ace. But does he want that as everything else is crumbling down around him? So I'll say that's my part. You go ahead and spit a little bit there on the Pods situation, what they have to offer.
Yeah, I mean, they're a competitive team. It's a good roster. It's not as strong as it was last year. It's a good roster for the next couple of years. As you mentioned, who knows what it looks like? We just talked about the Dodgers and kind of what their rotation will look like in a couple of years. I don't know what the Padres will look like in a couple of years. You have Michael King, who's going to be a free agent after this year. Dylan Cease is a free agent after this year. We don't know if they're going to re-sign them, if at all. And unfortunately, if you're a Padres fan, there aren't that many arms, if any, that are like ready to come up right now. Matt Waldron, Randy Vasquez are kind of their only, and those are like older prospects. I mean, Vasquez pitched fairly well. Waldron kind of fell off a cliff. Of course, there's Joe Musgrove, who was hurt for the next years, but he'll be in that rotation. So you have Joe Musgrove, and then whom? Yeah. I don't really know, but you know, the lineup is still good. It's very competitive. I mean, it's definitely stands up with a lot of teams in baseball at this point. So they're going to have that to offer. And so if he signs with the Padres, they can kind of say, hey, you'll just be our number one pitching prospect, our up and coming guy, and help them kind of transition from whatever's going on right now to that kind of the next era of Padres baseball, at least with on the pitching side. Because if you look at FanGraphs or really any of their pipeline stuff, there's not a pitcher in sight. They traded them all.
Yeah,
so
they tend to trade him. Even the guys they've traded away. One name that always pops in my mind. I think they have others, but like Ryan Weathers, he's never really panned out to be much of anything. You mentioned Matt Waldron. He's like that weird hybrid knuckleball dude. That's not really a top of the rotation kind of guy. They don't know how to develop starting pitching, and they don't really know how to develop in general. They know how to find the. AJ Preller is absolutely amazing. I wouldn't say amazing. He's very, very good at building a competitive roster, a very, very good roster, throwing a lot of talent in there, getting 1,000 shortstops and figuring out where he could play them in the outfield and all that kind of shit. But when it comes to actually drafting, developing, bringing their talent, putting their talent on the field, the Padres have been unable to show that they can execute that as an organization. They can draft players, find players, and use those players to trade to get talent, but they have very much struggled to make, develop, and call up and sustain their own talent for as long as I can remember. It feels like now, especially in this Preller era, it's just been, free agents and trades, which is fine. I'm not saying that's a problem, but if I'm Roki Sasaki, I'm looking at that. I'm like, you guys haven't really put a starting pitcher together. Why am I going there?
Yeah, that's totally fair. Right now, like Johnny Brito might be the next guy coming up. That he's the one they got. He's one of the pitchers they got from the Yankees. The other pitcher I think they traded away, so they're gone. It's just Padres and starting pitching. It's a little scary, and if they're gonna be under kind of a resource crunch, I don't know where they're gonna have to trade some of like their only good prospects.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll trade Ethan Salas. They need a catcher as well anyway, but that's my point is I don't know where they go from here. Timmy $5 says it's okay if Roki wants to join the self-destruction Padres. We can always get him when he's a free agent 7 years when he's hopefully developed #Go Padres. The
Ohtani strategy.
Exactly. This is, he's kind of clowning on the Padres, but it's true in a way that, the Padres they're not on the upswing.
No.
They had that they shot up like a rocket in the last couple of years, and unfortunately with Peter Seidler passing, and now like you've mentioned with whatever's going on with the ownership and not custody battles, they're not getting divorced.
It kind of is.
Kind of, yeah, in a way.
A lazy way of saying it is a custody battle for the name of the Padres, the owner, the organization.
Yeah, the Padres' own version of the Frank McCourt thing. I
was having a good night, man.
I know. We got to bring him up at least once.
That's fair.
I don't know what this team's gonna look like, and they're right now they're ranked as one of the worst, if not the worst, farm system in baseball. They have some pretty bad contracts on the books already.
Pretty bad.
Look, I'm trying to be nice.
Diplomatic. That's fair. That's fine. I'll allow it. You're being diplomatic, and I think it's okay.
$5. Heard Sasaki was going to Legoland tomorrow with Darvish and Preller. Hey, man, Legoland's a lot of fun. Love it. Great time. Would go
never
back.
Never been. Friend of the show, never been there. I also saw Denny Cortez piggybacking off of what I had said about like YouTube taking money and all that kind of stuff. She said, that's a great point, Clint. No need to fund YouTube more. I will say, in a non-fundraiser situation, when you guys do share super chats with us, YouTube takes its 30%. The 70% go actually to us, like to me, not to some other organization. It's not like other places that I've worked for that take the super chats for the greater part. Like, they actually go to where you guys are trying to send them here. So I don't want to like poo-poo on the idea. Like, we are very grateful for your support, whether it be through super chats, whether it's supporting on Patreon, which only takes much less of a percentage, by the way, or of course just watching and subscribing to the channel. I just wanted to clarify that much there. Your money and your viewership goes to the right places when you are here. EB says YouTube is a conglomerate that is unstoppable. I also, I agree.
He also said Legoland sucks, and I disagree. All right,
Whoa!
EB, so careful. It's okay. It's fun. I liked it as a kid. I haven't been in like 20
Locked
years.
on Dodgers in the chat said you used to work somewhere else, Clint. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. There's nothing to add right there. But one last thing, we got to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays before we move on. Again, mentioned Locked on Dodgers. Jeff and Vince will be live after us at 9:30 Pacific time here on the YouTube. Make sure you guys go tube in for a different perspective. As Jeff likes to say, the smart fans perspective. Both of them have also been in and out of the clubhouse, have covered the Dodgers professionally, for years. When you get paid to do it, I'm calling it professionally. So I always appreciate what Jeff and Vince, especially Jeff, add to the conversation there. But so there's your San Diego. Diane, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. Also saying PayPal does not take any percentage. They can. You have to do the friends and family thing. It's a whole thing. But I don't want to make this. Yeah, I don't want to make this about finances and all of that. I want to make this about why the Toronto Blue Jays are not going to be able to land Roki Sasaki. To me, them being in this like 3 teams left. I told you before we went live, I equate it to like if he signs there, it's like he can be the person that finally agreed to go to the prom with the weird Canadian kid. Because Toronto and all that. Thank you.
My girlfriend that goes to another school.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're being more realistic, maybe I think you said they have the most IFA money available between the 3 teams left. Is that what you said?
No, they're the same as the Padres.
Same as the Padres. Okay, so
they were a lot of. I don't keep track of the Blue Jays, so I don't know if they've traded for more international pool money.
Yeah.
But they were in the same bracket as the Padres. The Dodgers were in the lowest, and then they're 2 tiers above.
Brother Victor in the chat saying, by the way, Toronto fans must be miserable. All these free agent players edging them. Ouch. Yeah, it's got to be tough to be a Blue Jays fan for more than just that, more than just not landing players. It's also the fact that they're going to lose that nucleus, and this was something I want you to talk a lot about. But when you're looking at that roster, there's hardly a rotation there. It's spearheaded, it's aced by former Giant Kevin Gausman, who's had up and downs throughout his career, and that's about it. Let me pull it up again right here. Jose Barrios, who's been Barrios, however you want to say it, has been more miss than hit more getting hit than swing and miss as a Blue Jay. Old man Chris Bassett still being there. They don't have a whole lot, and they also just signed Jeff Hoffman to be their closer, perhaps some reliever, but he
Odin Francis was pretty good. I remember him.
They just don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of exciting, future stars to help fill that out. And what I like that you said, it's like if they land him and everything falls perfectly great for them, like at best they're a 3rd place team in the NL or the AL East. And if I'm Roki Sasaki and I want to define my career, as I've said on this channel, your players, professional athletes' careers and their greatness are defined by championships. It's not going to happen as a Blue Jay, or at least it's going to be a much more dramatic uphill climb. But go ahead. Let's let Kevin cook about the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's just that's of the three teams that are left. That's the hardest path forward. Like I said, the Padres have a good roster put together. Even if it's a couple years from now, don't know what it looks like. Like right now, it's really good. If you look at the Blue Jays roster, if you get past Alejandro Kirk, who's good, I think he's like a perfectly fine catcher. Andres Jimenez, Ernie Clement, Nathan Lukes, and Joey Loperfido. I apologize to all four of those or three of those four names because I know who Andres Jimenez is.
Yeah.
I don't know who the other three guys are. That's who's coming up at the bottom of that lineup. We talked about the rotation. Gausman, Barrios, Bowden Francis had a good year last year. He was actually quite good. You have a 36-year-old Chris Bassett. Yariel Rodriguez he's a rookie. He definitely went through his lumps last year. Coming up, so it's thin.
Super thin.
We talked about, what is this team going to look like in a couple of years? All indications right now are that the Toronto Blue Jays are not going to be able to retain Vladdy Guerrero Jr.
Yeah,
they could. We saw that they were willing to go to Bo Bichette, but Bo Bichette, regressed horribly last year. So yeah, we don't know if he's going to be able to bounce back. Hopefully, for their sake, he can, and also maybe for the Dodgers' future sake, if we need a shortstop. Anyway. But we saw that last year, the Toronto Blue Jays, which is why it made sense that they were still in the Ohtani sweepstakes up until the 11th hour, was that they were willing to pay. They were willing to go to that $700 million mark. So maybe they opened the purse strings again for Vladdy. But as of right now, everything indicates that he's gone. So if he's gone, that's their best player by far. If Bo Bichette's gone, their shortstop in – I don't know if they have anybody coming up. I haven't heard anybody like knocking at the doorstep ready to go. That team's getting thin, and they're already, like you mentioned, at best, in my opinion, the third place team in the AL East, likely a fourth place team because the Orioles also exist, and they just need like one or two pitchers, and they're back in contention. So I'm not sure how the Blue Jays are here. It's like
I think somebody was
it's
just
like when it's like when Plankton was trying to steal the Krabby Patty formula, and Mr. Krabs catches him, and he goes, "What did you think would happen?" And Plankton goes, "I don't know. I didn't think I'd get this far." That's how I feel the Blue Jays must think right now, because I don't know how they got there.
Bro went Plankton. We appreciate SpongeBob. Listen, guys, mash that thumbs up button if you appreciate SpongeBob references. Mash that thumbs up button if you hate the SpongeBob reference there. No, I agree. I think somebody paid off somebody big passing or somebody straight up lying to passing Toronto Blue Jays, trying to feel relevant, be like, yeah, no, we were told, Joe Wolf told us, even though I doubt somebody like passing or whatever, whomstever is talking directly to the Blue Jays, because, sources tell me their sources can be a little sus at times. It's more so Joe Wolf maybe just throwing something out there, but it seems like that type of move, if I'm going exploring that route, usually that's a money play, of which money isn't a factor. So maybe the Blue Jays really are in the picture. But you said, if he wants to be, join a third place team in the AL East at best, yeah, he can go to Toronto. I love what Matty Mad 5 Dodge said a couple minutes ago. If Roki wants to finish second in the West for the next 10 years, let him. He could sign with the Padres. If he wants a chance,
probably guarantees him a wild card spot.
That's fair. That's fair. Anyway, so I also saw a comment that said, is he really going to make us wait for a week? Of course, what Rob Manfred had said, he can sign after the 15th, which is Wednesday. We are but 2 days away, less than 2 days away if you're counting the hours, away from him being able to sign or make his decision. We've heard that he's going to wait until sometime before the official deadline of his posting window, which I think is the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, whatever the date is. The comment was, is he really going to make us wait a week? No, we'll probably have a resolution maybe as early as Wednesday. It could be as late as Saturday. Do you think it happens? Do you feel it in your gut like it happens this weekend or during the week?
I think the reports were he's likely to sign by the end of the week, which I interpreted as Friday. And I just know somebody reported earlier that he's not going to sign on the 13th. He's going to wait a couple days. So that's also what I've been
But then we get
kind
all
of waiting
this
for.
news today about all these teams he's eliminated. I feel like even he's getting antsy. He just wants to get this shit over with.
I think that might just be professional courtesy. I believe the only reason he's going to wait is to see because on the 15th, on the 15th, teams can then begin acquiring more international pool money.
Mm-hmm.
So where that becomes relevant is that draft pick the Dodgers got in the Lux trade. They could flip for more international bonus pool money. And they can't do that until the 15th. So he might be waiting a couple of days to see if the Dodgers swing a trade and just get him a little more money, because he's coming out early. He might want just like a little more than what they've got right now. But this is all pure speculation and based off, at least the timeline wise, based off a couple reports from a week or two ago.
I'll do this because I feel like it's time to move on a little bit here. NS said in the chat a little bit.
Draft pick. Okay, thanks. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
you can't. Huh?
That's what Locked On Dodgers said. So I thought they could.
Well, that's why we go to Jeff.
Those are the only draft picks you can trade. So I thought by acquiring it, they could then trade it.
Gotcha. Again, even so, that little amount of money, if they were able to get it and get maybe $300,000 more, that's not going to make the difference in landing Roki Sasaki. He gonna get paid. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna get endorsements and all that kind of stuff. The Dodgers are gonna help him get money. The report came out last week about Ohtani paying his contract like in full. In terms of the Dodgers making money in endorsements, they got like $70 million or whatever. So when Stan Kasten told Foul Territory he paid off his contract, it wasn't the $2 million, it was the 70. But Dodgers do good and they can help Roki. But NS said in the chat, I've stopped caring where Roki ends up. Dodgers roster looks pretty good already. I agree with both, and I also semi-disagree with stopping caring where Roki ends up, because I think this is the only headline we have really going on in baseball right now. So it is fun to follow. It feels like a lot for some kid that we know very little about, but that leads me to the next part of the show. What happens if the Dodgers do not land Roki Sasaki? We are talking about that next, but first, I've talked around it. If you guys are looking for a different way to support the show outside of just clicking on or super chats here on YouTube, which again, we very much appreciate. That goes a long way in helping support the show. But we do have Patreon set up, patreon.com/realfrg. For $5 a month, you can support the show financially, and you also get access to our Discord server where we're talking about Dodgers baseball all day long. We're really waiting for things to start happening again so we could have a lot more conversation. But there's football talk during the playoffs. There's a whole bunch of different channels there in the All Dodgers Discord chat. So you get access to that by paying that $5 on Patreon, or you can click the join button here on YouTube. At some point, listen, I really got to be a professional and get some graphics and put them on the screen, but click the links in the description if you're interested in doing any of that. If you can't do that, you don't want to do that, if you'd rather spend your money helping people rebuild, I don't blame you. You can help by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. But again, asking the question everybody hates: what happens if the Dodgers don't sign Roki Sasaki? And we've already talked around this a good fair amount. We talked about it a lot last week on the show when Casey joined us. I talked a little bit there. I did talk about it with Scott Gearman on Dodgers Territory when he joined me last week. I maintain there's still a need for one more starter, whether it be Roki or somebody else. If it's an innings eater, fine. A potential frontline ace is preferred, just in case, or in the event that one of those dudes doesn't make it through the season. Cough cough, Tyler Glasnow. We've seen the report, Jack Flaherty willing to take a short-term high AAV deal. In my opinion, that still means a multi-year deal, and I don't think the Dodgers need somebody for 2 or 3 years. I think they need somebody for about 3 months. And I don't know that makes sense for both sides. I don't think it's fair to Jack Flaherty, who took the 1-year deal with Detroit last year, to build up or rebuild his street cred and his value and pitch his way to a World Series championship, just to kind of revert back and take what could potentially be a more harmful deal to his career. If he were to sign with the Dodgers and possibly not be in the mix come October. I say they need a 1-year deal kind of guy, along with Roki. Perhaps we can dive into that more. But thoughts on where we're at rotation wise and just kind of expanding on this.
Yeah, first off, Hulk Smash Your Mom. Great name, 199. After Bob's tweet, I'm pretty down. He's referencing Bob Nightingale saying that
his nothing
Padres
burger?
are quietly optimistic that they'll sign Roki Sasaki. Every team's quietly optimistic that they're signing Roki Sasaki, just so you know. Also, if you're down about that,
optimistic.
consider this. If Bob is saying that, that's probably a good thing for the Dodgers. Anyway.
Yeah. Want to know why you're not hearing about the Dodgers being cautiously optimistic? Is because they control that narrative, and the Dodgers don't talk. That is what they do. The quieter it is, the more better I feel. I'll go stupid words, stupid grammar. The more better I feel about the Dodgers landing Sasaki. But anyways, continue.
Okay, so back on topic. Noah Ortega asks a good question. Do you believe the World Series Game 5 performance really hurt his market? I actually don't believe the World Series Game 5 prediction hurt his market. I think what hurt his market is his velo was just tanking. His mechanics were all out of whack.
Yeah,
and he couldn't really land strikes very well. Yeah, I think more than anything that hurt his market. And that's not just Game 5. We saw that a couple times during the World Series run, and especially towards like the last, I think, 4 or 6 starts at the end of the regular season. I think that's what hurt his market. I could see him doing, the 3-year deal, but it's really 3 1-year deals wearing a trench coat. I could see him doing something like that.
The Bellinger deal?
Yeah, the Bellinger deal, the Blake Snell deal. Like, I could see him doing something like that. If they don't go with Flaherty, the beauty of this rotation, or the beauty of the 40-man roster and this farm system, is they could sign a front if one were to become available. They could get a frontline ace. Never going to say no to that. They could also just go with an innings eater and still have Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. We're still going to be the 3 best pitchers against any other team's top 3 pitchers. So they could just go for an innings eater. I think they could go either way. However they want to fill it out, they can. Clayton Kershaw will be back at some point,
he's
like you mentioned.
But again,
Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin.
And this is where I feel like they need is not the word. They can use some early season help, because there are a lot of questions. We know the certain things. We know Ohtani will not be available to start the season in the starting rotation, which is fine. If anything, I prefer that he take the slower build up and eventually come back and be available in October. Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell, you feel pretty good about those dudes, especially Snell. I think he is, he is the innings eater for sure. He's that one, somebody who can be a 1, 2, or 3 the same way, Ohtani, Mookie, and Freddie could sort of be 1, 2, 3, maybe not Freddie 1, but the Dodgers are in a good spot with that. But again, it's just filling out those other innings and filling out the 6-man. You haven't seen Tony Gonsolin for a while. You haven't seen Dustin May be able to stay alive for more than 5 minutes. Landon Knack, you don't know what that's going to look like. What are they going to do with Wroblewski? What are they going to do with Kasparius? Does Nick Frasso come back from missing all of last year with his shoulder surgery? Does Emmett Sheehan, is he back in sometime in April and able to do something? It's just those early months I worry about. And I'll throw this out here as we're saying, just one more innings eater. I'm calling it someone they can jettison as the team gets healthy. And I understand I'm beating a dead horse with this, where I keep talking about the James Paxton deal, but they need that guy again. They just really need that one more dude. We showed this last week on Dodgers territory of, some honorable mentions, or just kind of some names that are available as free agents right now. Of course, Sasaki being at the top of that list. Flaherty, I don't think he goes with that deal, but it's same with Scherzer. I think Scherzer wants to go and be a Justin Verlander somewhere. But when you look at like the Pavettas,
I also don't know if the Dodgers would want to.
Yeah, that's fair.
Reunion with them.
That is fair. But the Pavettas, the Gibsons, people are gonna laugh. But even Lance Lynn, he says he's lost some weight. Lance Lynn, serving up some homers for 2 months. Like I don't necessarily hate it, and you give yourself just one more veteran to buy you some time. That's all it is. You just need some dudes to buy you some time. Thoughts on any of these names and how much people probably hate them?
Nick Pavetta's an interesting guy. I wouldn't be upset if they went and signed him. Kyle Gibson, he eats innings. I mean, I'm not in love with any of these names. I mean, obviously Jack would be the best of the bunch. You know, that rotation is going to get pretty full pretty fast. So, you know, you want somebody with a little bit of flexibility or somebody that you're not going to feel bad, you know, kind of either trading or DFAing in the middle of the season. So like that's kind of where Pivetta, Lance Lynn kind of fill that role. I know somebody's already said absolutely not on Lance Lynn. Like I agree. I would Jones, if you can stay like really far away from him. They haven't performed really well recently, but like Alex Wood and Ross Stripling are available. You know,
Woody reunion. I wouldn't be opposed to adding another lefty to the mix. Even Quintana. I think Quintana's going to sign somewhere where, you know, it's the expectations are, you know, just on the floor, and he can get more money to be a White Sox again or whatever the hell it's going to be. I hope not.
Yeah, I think if you're not going to get Sasaki, it's got to be someone that once everyone's healthy, you're fine jettisoning from the team, like you said, or they're just going to be healthy enough and they'll be okay enough to just go through the whole season. Because, again, we're talking about the sixth man in rotation. These are questions some teams have about, like, their number 2 starter. We're talking about, like, pure luxury. This is, like, we're talking the sixth guy.
It's good all right?
On a World Series winning team. So, like, yeah, like, let's put that into perspective. You know, like, when people complain about Austin Barnes, it's like, yeah, he's a good backup catcher, and he's also like the 26th man on the roster. Like, so you have to kind of frame it that way. Lance Lynn, if he's the last pitcher on the roster, okay, I wouldn't love it, but
or even
fine,
if it's just bringing him in spring training, and if he has something cool, or even Strip. Like, honestly, I haven't thought about it, but bringing back my guy Ross, I can call him right now and ask if he wants to come back. It might be a little late in Texas, and his wife is pregnant again. Maybe that's a bad idea.
He needs that money. Yeah, he definitely can't be in LA right now, though.
But then again, like Stripling, I don't know, man.
I mean, he was bad last year. He wasn't good. He hasn't been good for a minute.
It's been rough for my dude.
Again, we're talking about the sixth. We're talking about like it's
not even the sixth. To be honest, man, we're talking about like a 7th or 8th that they just move up to the 6th for a little bit, or the 5th spot, just because Shohei is going to be delayed and Kershaw isn't technically re-signed yet, and when he does, he's probably not coming back until June ? Whenever that happens.
And no matter the one thing I kind of like about Stripling, I'm talking myself into, is he's done the bullpen thing before and done it pretty well. So like if they could move him there, but this is a guy that we're talking about, like if he makes 20 starts, that would be a lot. You know what I mean? Like we're looking at somebody like, make 18 to 20 in that range. And so, yeah, if they're not a replacement value pitcher, I think you just kind of live with it and just hope on that day that Shohei hits a couple dingers. I don't know.
Hey, how about this one here? Jose Ayala says, get Rich Hill. Bring back Richie.
Give me Dick Mountain. Absolutely. I'll take him back.
And it's like, even if the dude, you bring in somebody that's posting like a 4.8 ERA, it's just about the innings. Go out there every 6th day. Yeah. And admittedly, with like the Japan series and days off and all that, it won't be a true 6-man rotation for a little bit. I got to look at the calendar again to the schedule to see exactly how it all plays out. But you could probably get away. They're going to get away with 4 or 5 dudes for maybe the first 2 weeks. But there's going to be some injuries, especially early on. Mr. John Rod saying, kind of echoing what we're saying, people seem to forget that we're starting the season without Kershaw and Ohtani available, and Gonsolin and may not be ready to start the season. I feel good about Tony. Yeah.
Gonsolin will definitely be ready. Yeah. Dave already said that.
Yeah, Dustin should be in the mix.
He should be ready. Yeah.
I think he was ready to. Yeah, exactly.
He was ready to. He was ready to pitch. He just ate a bad piece of steak or something. I don't know. Like, they took him to the steakhouse and his throat exploded. Phrasing. Yeah,
Don Kim says, "Remember Mitch White? That's
my guy."
I'm calling that Ross Stripling light. But we'll button this up and get out of here, guys. Again, if you want to continue some great Dodgers talk, head over to Locked On Dodgers after us. Jeff and Vince will be live at in about 5 minutes after us. But the point is that there still could be a need for one more. But like Kevin is saying here, we're talking about the 6th dude. Like, this is like, this is just setting yourself up for the best case scenario to keep your starters healthy into October, where you don't need to overwork Glasnow. And that was one of the things Dave had mentioned to me and Alana today. It's like, you kind of proven Tony or Tyler Glasnow can't kind of handle that workload. So the 6-man rotation is something that's going to help him a lot. Just to make sure him and Yamamoto don't need to stress and strain and get through the season. Yep. We don't care about 162. Yeah, all those games are important, but the most important ones are in October. And eventually this team will have Snell, Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Kershaw, Gonsolin. Those guys are going to be in there.
Sheehan's going to be that rotation is going to get really full really fast. Like we're gonna theoretically we could wake up one day and go, oh crap, Dustin or Sheehan's coming back. What are we gonna do? It's like, we're just gonna stick him in AAA for a little while.
What did I see?
Happen.
Mr. John Rod saying Andrew Heaney. Hey, a reunion with Heen Dog. Yeah, I don't hate it. There's not really a wrong answer outside of maybe Max Scherzer. That's probably a wrong answer, but that's just one man's.
Is he the only Dodger? Like, he would put on a Dodger uniform and get booed?
I think so.
I think
really
he would.
Think so.
Right? I think he would.
Yeah, because listen, if you're doing if you're putting the pieces together and the degrees of separation, Max Scherzer is the reason Walker Buehler isn't a Dodger uniform anymore, because Walker had to go out and kill himself in the 2021 postseason. But anyways,
and then Max had to complain about it. Anyway,
and he was an old man, decided to get drunk after pitching and didn't do his rehab right. Anyways, that's a whole other show, guys. I feel like we've had enough in here today. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. You guys have killed it in the chat. Killed it with super chats, all that kind of stuff. Killed it with your support. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. If you guys are Rams fans, I'm sorry. Going for the Eagles next week because that's important. But to button up my question, there's still a need for one more. Is there enough to open the season and survive the first month plus? Survive? I think so. But we're trying to optimize. Again, we're trying to have our cake and eat it too. So maybe Lance Lynn is the right answer if we're talking about cake. Guys, again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the great questions, the comments, the engagement, the super chats, all of that stuff. This was a fun show. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Check out Patreon or YouTube members if you're looking for a different way to support the show. Hit that subscribe button if you're looking for one of the best ways to support the show, trying to get to 9,000. And after that, we're trying to get to 10,000. And after that, we're trying to get to 40 billion. I think that's about it. Go watch Jeff and Vince on Locked On Dodgers. Go watch my interview with Dave Roberts on Dodgers Territory. Subscribe to that guy on Twitter at Skinner7Kevin. I'm Real FRG on all of the social media places. What's the last thing I got to say? Oh yeah, All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. And that's about it. We'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye.